All right. Good evening, everybody. I think we are live. Let me just take a quick look at the channel feed. All right, still saying I'm offline. Oh, no, there we go. So, a little late tonight. I mean, still within my normal parameters for starting. But I was a bit lost in terms of what to do tonight, and I thought I'm enjoying Deus Ex, and I would like to do more. So now I am. We are, as the title says, we're into parts of the game that I have never seen before, which is good. I felt a little bit bad about the last time I cast this, because I don't think I had a lot to say about it. And it's an enjoyable game. This is one of the challenges I always run into whenever I play a game like this, which is it is a lot of fun in its own right. And it's hard for me to sometimes disentangle the original enjoyment of the game. Hello, D-Raven. Welcome. It's sometimes hard for me to sort of disentangle myself from just wanting to sort of like flip off the stream and just enjoy a game and to put on a good show. So hopefully I do a little bit more of the show thing. It's tough too, because I know as much as I like to talk about the cyberpunk genre, I don't know it as well as I would like. Like, I don't necessarily feel that I can speak with substantial authority on it as I could some other topics. But then that's fine, because I think Deus Ex is also a little bit of its own animal. And it's a very enjoyable one. So, quick thing I should mention, the GOG summer sale is now on. It's been on for a couple of days. This game currently is not on sale, so in Canadian dollars, for me, it's about 13, which I think is fine. It's an excellent game, and you know, I think you are getting a decent value for buying it. But the reason I draw this to your attention, chances are the people who want to play Deus Ex probably already own it. Maybe not. I know there are a few people who never experienced the game who do watch the stream. So, you know, whether you wait for a sale or whether you pick it up now, I leave to you. But I do encourage you to check out the GOG link. It's down below, because there's a lot of very good games that are on sale, including Soma and other similar titles. I think I had... Oop, feels like the game's just locked up on me. There we go. Also, I need health, it looks like. I don't think I'm ready to use a med pack yet, though. I think I should head back to the clinic, actually. I also should find out what my mission is. But the reason I mentioned the GOG sale, so there's a lot of good games. Again, if you're looking for things sort of similar themes to Deus Ex, I would recommend you check out Soma. There's the Shadowrun series, which is on sale as well. And the reason I particularly mention it is that whether you buy... I believe it's whether you buy something on sale or at full price, the first purchase you make over it will give you Rebel Galaxy, which is a wonderful game. In my view, I think probably the best way I could articulate it would be it's a little bit like a simplified single-player version of Elite Dangerous, for what that's worth. Okay, so I need to see the Smuggler for explosives for scuttling the Super Freighter, and bring Stanton Dowd some ambrosia to counteract the Grey Death. All right, so both of these seem to be things that are actually tied to the freighter, though. And then scuttle the PCS wall cloud by destroying the 5 tri-hull welds with explosives by reversing the bilge pump flow. Pumping water into the bilges will destabilize the ship's weight distribution and cause the hull to split open. Seems easy enough, eh? So I think this is supposed to be a very dramatic moment in the game where Stanton Dowd gets killed. You know what? You two can just sort it out. Oh wait, no, I need him alive.
Tong told me he found an interesting molecular signature on the virus. A clue to who developed it.
The one part that isn't clear to me is how I get to the how I get to the area I'm supposed to. Like, I don't know where the ship's supposed to be. But we'll figure that out. Hey, El Canoe, how you doing? And Jesse Cole, thank you very much for the auto host. And El Canoe, thank you very much for the auto host. Two excellent casters who I am very happy to have stop by. I wonder if I can get into Paul's apartment from here, although I don't think he's going to have a healing device. Oh, they're both straight hosts. I'm sorry, guys. I don't know what's happening with my bot. I was a little surprised, just because I know you don't normally like auto hosting, El Canoe. Let me take a second here and fix my alerts, or maybe they triggered it. I just didn't notice. All right, it's working for me. Oh, it's a big deal to me, El Canoe. Like I said, it's always like having a big. It's always like having a big. Oh, it looks like it isn't triggered with Streamlabs, so I can't repeat it. Anyways, guys, Jesse Quill and El Canoe, two excellent streamers, two people who I'm very proud to consider friends. They are both unique casters in their own right. They both have a great way of making the games that they play be very fun and interesting to watch. El Canoe is a French caster, but as I always like to remind people, he is excellent at... I'm just going to talk to the bartender for a second.
What do you want? Prices have tripled to 30 because of martial law.
Outrageous!
Heard the name Stanton Dowd.
What do you want with Dowd?
A private matter. Know where I can find him.
I'm gonna say this once. That German mech from UNATCO already came by looking for you. You got money to spend? Fine. This curfew's killing me, but leave me out of your business. That guy's oiled up and ready for a fight.
Gunther.
An oiled German. Sounds intriguing.
Never mind.
So, the reason I point this out is he is an excellent study in terms of how you do not need... you do not necessarily need to rely on dialogue to put on an enjoyable cast. If you did not understand a word of French, I think you'd still have an excellent time in his cast, simply because he has got a tremendous sort of physical... I just did a complete circle. Oh well. He's got a tremendous sort of physical presence on his cast. He's got a great sense of humor. He's got an absolutely exquisite sense of timing, both comedic as well as, you know, as sort of addressing, you know, sort of the moment, like the emotional sort of linchpins of games. All of this just leads to an absolutely consistent and fantastic cast. He's one of my favorites to watch. And again, I think if you're a caster, you can learn a lot from watching a caster like El Canoe, just simply because it's hard to find people who just sort of like you. I guess what I'm trying to say is, like, it's easy to watch a really good caster, somebody who you enjoy watching a lot, and, you know, just sort of assume on its own, you know, they're a great caster. You can't always sort of pick apart the individual things that make the cast enjoyable for you. And so when you have a caster like El Canoe, where you lose one of the things that you sort of rely on to enjoy a cast, so in this case, the dialogue, you know, I think I'm actually gonna do... Oh no, I've already got my +1 upgrade. I think I'm gonna upgrade the eyes. Although I need to remember to turn them on. This is one thing I've noticed about the game, that if I the fact that I need to push like the F buttons to sort of activate some powers usually keeps me from actually enabling them in the game. But one of the things that's great about El Canoe is that, you know, there's very few people kind of have that analytical capacity to just sort of sit down and watch something that they enjoy, and just sort of, you know, turn their attention to... See, I got rid of my binoculars rather ill-advisedly. to sort of take the attention away from just the pure entertainment that's in front of them, and instead, move on to some of the why it works, like some of the why questions in terms of how it works. And one of the reasons why I would encourage casters to watch El Canu, especially if they don't speak French, is just simply the fact that if you don't understand the language, then you're sort of forced to sort of divorce the words that are being said as opposed to the other means of communication. And the fact that, again, you don't necessarily understand the words, but you can understand exactly what is happening in the game, and you can understand exactly what is happening to El Canu.
Told me he found an interesting molecular signature.
I just think kind of it says great things about his ability to communicate, and particularly his ability to communicate non-verbally. It is very hard. Imagine how difficult it is to try and make somebody laugh when you can't use words that they'll know. So those are a few of the reasons why I like El Canu. Incidentally, he's I know him at the moment for his Dark Souls 2 playthrough, which I hope he's enjoying. But he is a variety caster, and he does an excellent job on anything that he casts.
We are preparing for our operation now. You are finished.
Is that the oiled German?
Yes. Password?
Bloodshot.
Next up, we have got Jessie Quill. Jessie Quill is a milady.
I'm showing net activity on several of the smuggler's avatars. He must be at home.
She is another variety caster. Now, I always like to shout her out for her kind of her adventure game, or sort of her more story-based game playthroughs. One of the big ones for me was to watch her play The Last of Us, because I don't get the opportunity to play PlayStation or Xbox games. And so I sort of have to rely on others to cover that material. And again, Jess's background in terms of psychology, in terms of sort of studying these. Okay, I've got space for a. Actually, the other thing that I can do is upgrade my abilities, which I haven't touched for a while. Oh boy, that's a lot. Let me just think for a second here. So I can upgrade my pistol. I've mastered computer. I feel like I use lockpicking, or either electronics or lockpicking a whole lot more. Let's start with electronics, and then we'll upgrade lockpicking. So, again, Jess's background in terms of psychology, and just generally the humanity that she shows people overall, the thing that's a large factor of her personality, I think informs her adventure game and her story-based game casts quite well. It's one of the things that I've enjoyed the most out of what she's done. It was also one of the first things that I watched her play, so I'm not usually one for nostalgia, but I suppose there's something to be said for having the opportunity to watch her play, having had the opportunity of watching her play something like, I think I know where this is. It's like the basketball court, right? Yeah. So definitely there's something to be said for the, the fact that I really enjoyed watching her play The Walking Dead when I first got to know her. But again, that carries through with all of the games that she plays. And another great example would be her Star Wars playthrough. I mean, she very clearly loves that series. And I mean, who doesn't like Spock and Kirk and all of those characters? And again, she does a really good job with the with those games as well, including playing like some of the either lesser appreciated or lesser known ones like Rebel Assault and things like that. Like I remember I did actually play Rebel Assault, and finding some of the opening.
Picking up incoming MJ-12 troops. They must have your location. Better get what you need from Smuggler pronto and meet me on the roof of the hotel.
I'm going to close the door, and they won't be able to get Smuggler. But yeah, anyways, even when she plays like a bad Star Wars game, and that there's definitely more than a few of those, she definitely has a way of communicating the love that she has for those kinds of games, and what they meant to her, and how much I don't know, how much she enjoys them, how much she got out of it. So I think I'm gonna go to the computer because I have a feeling that there will be combat after I talk to this guy. All right. I found the files that you wanted, but I had to obtain them from the Bioreparat data well in the Savridsk at great expense. Strange, this information wasn't part of any official prepat exchange effort that I've been able to find. It was conducted under the code name Velik. Jesus Christ, I'm not good at Russian. Over the last 2 decades. There were several other projects attached with the same name being conducted throughout the world, but it was impossible to derive anything from them aside from their existence. In any case, your buyer must have some fairly esoteric interests attached. Bunch of, oh hey, there's me. Generic mail 883, friend in need, something relating to me, but I wasted all that time reading that first email. So, Smuggler, give me
Who the
stuff.
hell are you? You the smuggler? I need help.
Help? I'm not in the business of helping people. You need something, speak up. I'll tell you what it costs.
I've uncovered the truth about the Grey Death. It's a man-made virus, and there's a load of it on a super freighter at the Brooklyn Naval Shipyard.
No tall stories, just tell me what you want.
Help me scuttle it. You have any extra lambs or rockets?
You think you can scuttle a freighter with a lamb?
A few lambs at weld points.
I'll help you out. How about a rocket for a GEP gun? Usually save those for the NSF, but I'll sell it at a loss, say 2,500. You can also have a half dozen lambs for 2,400. Better buy now. I'm selling cheap only because a lot of people could die.
Give me a break. Hundreds of millions of lives are at stake.
I like what you're doing, but I gotta cover my costs. Hey, I'm starting to get nervous about this. What you're about to do is gonna turn some heads. I don't want any trouble from the authorities.
Actually, UNATCO's planning an operation of some kind. You might want to get out of Hell's Kitchen after I leave.
What kind of operation?
A manhunt. For me. I don't think you want to get caught in the middle.
Thanks for the warning. Come on, let's wrap this up.
See, JC just proved that there's no English sentence you can start the word actually with, and you can start actually with and make it be good. Guys, thank you very much for that, host Johnny Big Time, just after I got done shouting out Jesse Quill and Elkanu. So, welcome. I'm System Shock from Variety Caster. I know that Johnny has been doing Dragon Age Origins. He is responsible for me installing that damn game. So thank you very much for joining me. I won't stay paused for too long, but I did need to take some refreshment, and I know there's going to be story stuff that happens in a little bit. So, how are you doing, Johnny? Hello, everybody from the cast. I don't know if you are speaking or not, but anyways, thank you. And you pitched it on the GOG summer sale and everything, Chalk. You'd be proud. Yes, thank you for that, Johnny Big Time. And for those of you who don't have a GOG account, oops. So this is a link for Deus Ex. Deus Ex is not currently on sale, but Dragon's Age Origin is. Now, if you use that link, I will get a small portion of the sale, which I would definitely appreciate. Jessie Quill is also affiliated with GOG as well, so if you'd like some of the money to go towards her instead, you can definitely do that. There's a couple of other reasons why I'm going to mention the GOG sale again. One of them is that Gwent is now in open beta. So if you guys, and hello Lady Dow. Yes, I've actually had Dragon Age Origins for a while. But Gwent is now in open beta. I quite like it. I prefer it to Hearthstone. But if you want to play with Gwent, you're going to need a GOG account, which you can make for free. And if you do open a GOG account again through using that link, it doesn't matter if you stay on Deus Ex or not, but if you don't have a GOG account, you make one, that will definitely help me out. And then one other thing that I will mention is that if you do wind up buying something in the sale, and Dragon Age Origins is an excellent reason to do so. It's currently 80% off. It's DRM free. If you are in an area that tends to be affected rather poorly by the foreign exchange rates, they have got a price kind of a price match where they will refund you the difference in terms of the foreign exchange. Basically, if it's a $20 game in the US and it's like $20 in a more expensive currency, GOG will pay out of their pocket for the difference because that is their fair price policy. And if you do buy a game in the sale, the first purchase that you make, you will also get a copy of Rebel Galaxy for free. So Rebel Galaxy is a lot of fun. I know I actually duped Johnny into buying it. But I think it's a great time to pick up some of those things that you've been looking at on the list. There's a lot of games that I really enjoy. Maybe at the end of the cast, we'll go over the ones that I liked. And yes, Zodicide makes a very good point, which is that I've already been doing GOG Connect for a while. But if you are concerned about the fact that there's not a lot that you, like, you know, if you're going to add yet another platform into your system, you can actually start converting a fairly sizable portion of your Steam library into GOG. And again, that's free of charge. So also, it's not a bad reason, even if you don't plan on buying something right away from GOG, you can open up that account and at the very least get DRM-free versions of the games that you've bought on Steam. What else was I going to say? Yes, I need to actually shout out Johnny now. Johnny, for those of you not familiar with him, and shame on you if you aren't, is another variety caster. He's been doing a really interesting thing with his channel lately, which is to go through series. And that's, I was actually going to say, so apparently there isn't something story happening. The first series that he's decided to do is a great one. I actually don't remember Dragon Age Origins being the way that he played it. Like, I'm really interested in it now. And I didn't think it looked too interesting when I first played it. So I was actually quite fascinated by Johnny's playthrough, and I will probably wind up playing it at least privately for myself for a while. But from what I understand, he's going to be playing the whole Dragon's Age series, and I believe as long as there's a bit of success with that setup, he will sort of continue to sort of take that approach to the games, which I think. One, I mean, I've had the benefit of talking with him about his stream, and I actually really like the fact that he is willing to sort of experiment and put the. I like the fact that he's willing to kind of take a stream that's already working really well. I mean, I know I said this about El Canoe. But Johnny is another really funny caster. Jess also has a sense of humor, but it's like it takes a lot for me to consider somebody to be like just a straight up funny caster. Comedy, I think, is sometimes very difficult to do on Twitch. So just because I say so, you know, there's I can think somebody is funny on Twitch without thinking that they are like a consistent. Hello, Subject Panic. Without maybe, again, giving them the label of a comedy streamer. I guess I need to talk with him again to get some explosives, but... by the way, if you ladies want to be impressed... Wah! Wah! Wait a minute. I think this leather couch is made out of balsa wood. Anyways, if you need any convincing about Johnny Big Time, just go and check his just go and check his clips. You are going to be having an absolutely outstanding time. I could actually say the same about El Canu and Jesse Quill as well, but Johnny Big Time is probably the caster who I've created the most clips of, because he's just always has the right thing to say during a cast. He's absolutely great. And the thing that I love the most is that the chance that he's been taking with his cast, again, he's got a perfectly good thing going in his normal format. But he is willing to experiment. He's willing to try and find the best, the best thing for entertainment, and it looks like it's paying off. So do please check him out if you haven't already.
You telling me the truth about this super freighter? They're really gonna expose people to the plague?
A Marine from the shipyard told me that FEMA's involved. Guess they've gone from fixing emergencies to making them.
If you ask me, I bet FEMA wants to cause a national emergency and get control of the army.
I think we can expect Walton Simons to make a grab for power one way or another.
That's all they would need. One national emergency. Then they could get rid of the president, shut down Congress, and suspend the Constitution.
That's not how it happens. You know what? Let's buy the lambs.
Give me the lambs for 2,400. What a deal.
That's all I've got. If you need more, raid the ammo storage facility at the shipyard.
All right. So this is where the goons come in, right? So yeah, this is actually, so I think this is probably a personal thing about the game for me, but I've always found, so I sort of understand the origins of this game wherein trying to sort of craft a story around conspiracy theories. And I don't know if it's the fact that I know this. I don't know if it's the fact that I know this or the fact that, uh-oh, load for me, game. It's the fact that this is just how the writing comes off.
Troops converging on your position, JC. I'll land the copter on the roof of the Ton. Get out of there.
But it always feels like lines like those about as like the game almost feels like I'm trapped on a bus beside somebody who like reads a lot of InfoWars and, you know, completely unprovoked just kind of comes out and says, do you realize it would only require one emergency to take away the, you know, the power of the presidency and repeal the Constitution? FEMA's doing it, man. And in some sense, like, the world that they've crafted is actually a really interesting one. And holy crap! I am so dead. Open the door! The world that they've created for this game is so good and interesting. But I do actually kind of feel like it's a bit marred every time they kind of hit you with both oh crap, I really screwed this up. Again, I still don't know what the deal on this one is. Like, if it's supposed to be the sudden assassination of Dowd, color me unimpressed. Oop. Let me see if I can deal with that, actually. That's just BattleNet in the background giving me way too much information about people's comings and goings. All right. So I'm going to do everything all over again, only I'm going to save, and I am going to not die. In that order. Oh yeah, and I'm going to use my item. So actually, this is maybe a good question for people. Like, obviously, I've loaded the argument, but did anybody else get this feeling about, like, 'cause even when I first played this game, like, I always felt they laid it on a bit thick. Now, I've always known that this game's origins was like making a game about a bunch of kind of conspiracy theories, which is fine. I actually think it's a really interesting idea for a game, and it's one that I think what was the game? The Secret World also does really well. It's just that I think the Secret World actually does a better job of, I don't know, picking its battles the right there? I don't know. It doesn't feel like the game's kind of like, again, some conspiracy nut like trapping me on a bus and telling me how the world works. But yeah, I don't know if maybe I'm the only one who feels this way about the game. I've never really heard anybody complain.
Password?
I've never actually heard anybody complain about the dialogue. Hello, Pithram.
I'm showing net activity on several of the smuggler's avatars. He must be at home.
By the way, guys, I did a bad thing, and I actually neglected to shout out Lady Dow, who I most recently saw stream Outlast. Now, I don't think I've been in at the times that you have been casting the rest of it. So are you continuing on with Outlast, or have you moved on to greater and grander things? Because again, I was going to say it was... I had a lot of fun. Actually, one of the things that... This is a minor thing, because I actually think Lady Dow has a lot of other great attributes. Sounds so medical.
They must have your location. Better get what you need from smuggler pronto and meet me on the roof of the hotel.
She has a lot of things going for her as far as the cast is concerned, but one of the things that really drew my attention was the way that she'd set up her cam. Because whenever she was in dark parts of the game, which usually is like, so if she was about here, really the only light on her was coming from the monitor, so everything would go completely black and you wouldn't be able to see her face. So it did a really good job of kind of heightening the immersion of the game at the moments where it was probably the most appropriate. But you were still able to have that individual connection with the streamer, with her. To be able to see. I'm just trying to. I don't think any of these 3-digit codes. Oh, you know what? I should probably see if his computer tells me what the code is. But yeah, it was. I mean, I don't know if it was intentional or if it was sort of happenstance, but I think she does a better job of the. She's not a camless caster. She's just a semi-camless. Icarus is looking for me. You helped me and some friends out recently. That transaction was business, but you did me a good turn. I don't forget that. I heard through channels there's some bad stuff coming down on you. Don't know why people I talked to said it has to do with a guy named JC. Haven't heard of him, but someone wants him dead, cold in the ground, personal reasons, and your name came up. Fair warning, watch your back. S-chick. Standing for side chick, maybe?
Who the hell are you?
You the smuggler? I need help.
Help? I'm not in the business of helping people. You need something, speak up. I'll tell you what it costs.
I've uncovered the truth about the Grey Death. It's a man-made virus and there's a load of it on a super freighter at the Brooklyn Naval Shipyard.
No tall stories, just tell me what you want.
Help me scuttle it. You have any extra lambs or rockets?
You think you can scuttle a freighter with a lamb?
A few lambs at weld points.
I'll help you out. How about a rocket for a GEP gun? Usually save those for the NSF, but I'll sell it at a loss, say 2,500. You can also have a half dozen lambs for 2,400. Better buy now. I'm selling cheap only because a lot of people could die.
I don't think... suggest, did I ever get to watch you when you did a dark cam during your horror games? Because I don't feel I don't feel like I've seen that. Also, people are idiots, so don't listen to them.
Give me a... I like...
All right.
Actually, UNATCO's planning an operation of some kind. You might want to get out of Hell's Kitchen after I leave.
What kind?
A man...
Thanks for...
See, told you. No good
tell
way
him
to
where
write,
if you
actually.
ask.
I think...
That's all.
Give me the lambs for...
That's all I've got. If you need more, raid the ammo storage facility at the shipyard.
So now that I know people are going to come to murder me. So first thing I'm going to do is try the front door. But I'm going to follow up actually by doing the ladder to the side. I am trying to play this as if I don't know the event that's coming, as if I don't know the event is coming up. But I have a feeling that onslaught's going to be a little too tough for me.
Troops converging on your position.
Oh, for God's sake. Ah! I really need to stop doing that. Alright, so they didn't see me this time, so maybe I just got unlucky. Oh boy, that's a lot of guys. Leg it, my friend.
That's him.
Alright. Ah! What are you doing? Gotcha. Oh, crap. I'm so dead. I keep thinking tab brings up the menu. That was rather embarrassing.
Scuttling up.
Forget it.
MJ-12 troops converging on your position, JC. I'll land the copter on the roof of the Ton. Get out of there.
Alright, that was slightly less painful, although I think the basketball court still forces me to go into the streets with the MJ-12 troops, so... in fairness, I'm also... I've been relying on stealth for the past little while, so I guess maybe I bugged the game. Well, so much for stealth. What I like is that all of these guys just went running around the corner to this absolutely insane pile of bodies. And, it's like, oh, I wonder what's happening over here. So yeah, I believe stealth is not an option, I think is what the game's telling me there. I don't know if I want to do this, but I am going to save here. Because if I can't get past If I can't get past this empty street, then I'm... Oh, hi, robot.
Suspect is still in the area. That's the one. Take him!
I totally hit that first time. Alright, I gotta wait for that, Oh, actually I don't need to wait for the metal monstrosity. I will just run around the corner and take on even more guys. So I'm a little curious again, how many here have played this game before? Oh, I think I'm gonna wind up doing the same thing again.
You! Stop right there!
Oh, for God's sake. There we go. Number one. There we go.
When the shipment has been destroyed, I will require you to go to Paris. You must find Dowd's associate, Morgan Everett.
There was a ladder here. Yeah. The one modded version. Which modded version are you thinking of? So I've got a few played but did not complete. I hope this is the right way. I don't even remember the code for this. I'm sure I could find it, but... I know there's one that's available just straight off of GOG, which is supposed to make the game quite good, but it changes the music. It makes a few changes to the game. So I sort of said, well, you know, I originally played this game, I don't know if when it first came out, but relatively, you know, relatively close to its release. All right, I'm a little unclear how I'm supposed to meet this guy on the roof. That wasn't a cat, was it? Oops. I wonder how much modern game design is dedicated to avoiding moments like that. Alright, this is gonna make me go back to the... Start again. Alright, so that was the bar I was actually heading towards, it turns out. What kind of research are you doing, Nubasaur? Alright, well I can go in through the front door. I know there's going to be a couple of police officers there, but that shouldn't be too difficult to take care of. The question is, do I really want it? Do I want to fire on this guy or? Not good. So apparently I didn't get that guy. Well, there's the cursed elevator again. Not that it's going to do me any good. Maybe if I drink a lot of toilet water, I'll get all my heal back, or my health back. Or I could, you know, just pay attention to the fact there's a ladder up the side of the building. Nail him. I never heard of it. Okay, I'm sorry to do this, guys, but I actually really don't want to have to deal with the fact that I don't have a leg. So I'm going to do one more save now that I know what the... Alright, so there's a couple of Yunatco guys I got to take out. Maybe I don't have to take out. They will probably find me as soon as I start lifting heavy things.
When the shipment has been destroyed, I will require you to go to Paris. You must find Dowd's associate, Morgan Everett.
Sorry guys, just 1 second.
Let's go.
I'm ready.
I've dropped you in an abandoned lot next to the base. There should be an old grate on the wall that you can gain entry through. I've got to get out of here before the sentries get suspicious.
No, don't leave me. Alright, I'm going to do something weird. So, I think it's going to be very tough. Nubasaur has kind of one-upped us all.
You're past the fence. Good. Up ahead are the barracks. You need to gain entry to the base and eventually reach the large building to the north. Keep your eyes open for the ammo storage facility. You need to load up on explosives.
No, because the game forced me to buy explosives. Actually, Jessica, that's what Uber Eats is for. And yes, I did say actually to you.
You came in on the chopper? You must be with the DC people.
You are very bad at soldiering, sir. Oh, no, that's totally fine. But Nubasaur, what I meant to say was that you've one-upped all of us in terms of like our plans and what we're up to by announcing that you are doing, sorry, let me get this, the purse lid from the Sutton Hoo burial. So I was just gonna say it's very hard, I think, for anybody to I think it's very hard for anybody to look at that.
Who's asking?
Our buddy Vinny said to expect. Think you can find out what's going on in there? Go for it.
Is FEMA really running the show?
FEMA and the Chinese? I don't like the smell of it one bit.
Me either.
This key will open the main gate. The guard just inside the main building entrance will let you pass, but don't expect any hospitality from the FEMA people.
But yeah, so basically all that I meant to say was if anybody has any special plans or things that they're going to be getting up to over the next couple of days, because I get to do something a little cool.
These sewers run to the submarine building. You can be sure the military has rigged these passages with detectors and booby traps.
I have begun planning your future objectives. Dow will be sending you to Paris. Make sure he gives you the current residence of his associate, Morgan Everett. I do not have access to that information.
But yeah, this is an invitation for everybody to try and impress. Casting fundraising for WDC Whale and Dolphin Conservatory on Saturday morning.
Get to the door at the base of the huge crane in the distance. But watch out for the guards and security bots.
Which one do I shoot? Oh god, oh god. Ah! That was, that was a little extreme.
You're past the fence. Good. Up ahead are the barracks. You need to gain entry to the base.
You must be...
Alright, let's try a stealth approach again. Oh, looks like they are already, Oh, I'm bad. Why would you kill us all? He was the right one. All right, I don't think I'm gonna survive this, but we'll do our best. I'll at the very least find out what's going on here.
I have begun planning your future objectives. Dow will be sending you to Paris. Make sure he gives you the current residence of his associate, Morgan Everett. I do not have access to that information.
Hang on, I heard some.
Don't drop the lamb. Please don't drop the lamb. That wasn't the lamb. Oh, that is. All right. It's a little weird to have enemies that look exactly the same as allies, but I think I can get a handle on this. I think I'm okay with saving this as well, because it felt like navigating this level wasn't too difficult. I don't think I'm ready to blow open some trucks, though.
Haven't seen you in a week. Where you been?
Workers' camp. Messed up my hand while I was working on the sewer shutoff grate. Damn thing came down and nearly took off my whole arm.
You gonna be alright?
Yes, okay. They told me they were gonna fix it. Of course, they waited until after I got hurt to do it.
I saw a bunch of folks working on that shed out back a few days ago.
Figure they must be tinkering with the control valve, sure enough.
What's up with this place anyway? On the way in, some goon with a gun frisked me from head to toe. Told me to watch my step.
FEMA, sure. After they declared martial law, they came down on this place like they owned it. Shut off the sub-pin, threatened to shoot anyone got close.
Yeah, I saw him goose-stepping around back there. Christ, this place is going to hell in a handbasket real fast.
I have begun planning your future objectives. Dow will be sending you to Paris. Make sure he gives you the current residence of his associate, Morgan Everett. I do not have access to that information.
I mean, the impending police state can't be that bad if they still allow unions. I'm just gonna wait on that to stop, and then I should be able to hack this terminal. I hope to God that still can't see me. Good. So this is the kind of stuff I really like in this game, when you're sort of sneaking around a level and trying to achieve certain objectives, and you have a bit of variety. Be advised that as from today onwards, all bots will be serviced on bi-weekly rotating intervals. Any problems with a bot should be reported directly to operations office. Unauthorized personnel should not attempt to effect repairs on a bot under any circumstances. Grey Death Reminder. As a reminder, any personnel exhibiting symptoms of the Grey Death as described in SOP 17663F9 or have come into contact with such an individual should report immediately to the base hospital for treatment. ASF clearances. All clearances to the Advanced Submarine Facility are immediately revoked. Only authorized security and FEMA personnel or those individuals with valid FEMA clearance will be allowed access. This is considered a high alert situation and lethal force will be used to control the perimeter. Any questions should be directed to Captain James Keane. I am going to write a very sternly worded complaint to Mr. Keane. And I have lost control again. There we go. And is there anything special that I get in this computer? No. This is a complete red herring, it seems. Yeah, so I have a feeling that I want to keep them on standby. Really, Jess? They usually just tell me to F off. Until further notice, all access to the... Wait, this is the exact same... Okay. Advanced Submarine Facility is restricted to FEMA and authorized security personnel only. Security should consider themselves on high alert. All entrances have been sealed and the codes will change daily. Today's code is 0909. You will receive future codes from your direct supervisor. This code should not be divulged to any individual who is not authorized security or FEMA or a toilet attendant. Captain James Keane, Brooklyn Naval Shipyards. One thing I wasn't clear about with the dart gun in this game, so you don't want it to be too open. So the one catch is like if you make it an instant knockout, then it's ridiculously OP. But the current one is actually a little... It's a little useless just because, like, I know if I tag the patrol with this right now, it's going to alert a bunch of people, and I'm going to have a tough time sort of dealing with them. So don't mind me, gentlemen. Just a good old-fashioned American worker like you. Doing my whole America thing. Oh, he is gonna see me. Hold still. Yeah, that could have gone better. How do you know? The getting jiggy with it. I hope that wasn't directed at me. That thing doesn't seem like it's on standby. However, I do think that that other security guard might have,
Contact, I have visual. Guess it was nothing. Movement, sir, movement! False alarm, I guess. Hold it!
tired of his games. So in principle, I should be able to like, use a lamb to knock that down, but I don't know what's behind it, and I'd much rather take down the ship. All right, that seems like a good time to save. I am still not quite sure what to do about this giant robot, because I can actually stealth away from regular troops.
Target acquired.
So now I know what happened to the other guy. I should actually use that opportunity to sneak behind it. There is no sneaking behind that. Alright, well, I suppose the other opportunity is that I have a big gun and I can use it. So I really think you should be able to just use the computer terminal to... Alright, well... I feel like you should be able to use the computer to disable those things. So I'm going to give that one more try, but I have a feeling it's not doing what it's supposed to, or I'm misunderstanding what's supposed to happen with that. It's possible there's also like a sewer grate or something, like there's a lower level there, so...
Target acquired.
Huh, alright. We will head down then. Ooh, got lucky there. Alright, so I think I went the wrong way on that. I don't like the sound of this at all. Alright, so I think this is just going to bring me face to face with D.
Target acquired.
Ooh. Well, at least the global conspiracy hasn't figured out a good AI yet. Oh, come on. That thing is gonna come and murder the crap out of me in a second.
Try taking the elevator to the top of that crane. You might be able to get on the roof and enter the building through the air conditioning ducts.
You know what? We're gonna save, and we're gonna hope for the love of God that I don't have to take these things on. That was a very inconvenient time to save, it seems. Alright, so that thing has got a ridiculous range. Woo! Where's the elevator? Where's the elevator? Oh, there it is. Well, that didn't go according to plan. Yeah, I don't know about this whole standby thing. It feels like it's very not standby. It feels like it's on full buy. This might be a good time to actually save, so I don't have to worry about the getting my leg taken out by an inconvenient shot. Tee. Anyways, yeah, so this is actually a good example of the sort of stuff I really like about Deus Ex. When you're running around levels sort of trying to use your character's abilities to solve problems rather than... oh, that sniper rifle would be so good. I just don't have the space for it. Well, you know, I've been dragging this thing along. It's taking up so much space, but I've never... Like, anytime I actually have something I want to use it on, it's always just a waste of time. So I think we're going to switch out. No, and we'll save. I actually like the sound on this. The wind does a good job of kind of making the crane a little more credible.
Good. One of these units will have a panel you can open. Crawl through the ductwork into the building.
Stop backseating me, game. As you may have noticed, I'm a bit of a hoarder when it comes to items, so... You've stealthed your way through Deus Ex and the Elder Scrolls games, and you've loved it, yet regretted it, especially when a boss fight emerged. Yes. You know what? This would have been a wonderful time to have that big badass gun. Because I'm pretty sure this is not... Oh! Alright, that's good to know.
You won't believe this, JC. There was a raid on smugglers.
Don't... Alright, so I'm not gonna look... What a terrible place to put that bit of dialogue! Actually, I guess I didn't need to reload for that. I could have just, I could have just read it, but... Speaking of Elder Scrolls...
Good. One of these units will have a panel you can open. Into the building.
I know I've done a little bit of Skyrim in the past, but and the sale for the for like Oblivion and Morrowind and stuff like that is no longer on for GOG. But I am interested. I mean, if they go on sale again, I might pick them up. What is the appetite for that sort of thing here?
There was a raid on smugglers. I just saw Gunter get into a copter on the roof and head back to Yanatco. I checked the police bands though, and they're still looking for Smuggler. Looks like he managed to slip away.
So like, I mean, the other game that I proposed was Fallout, but I think the consensus is that New Vegas is the more popular. It's kind of why I prefer talking about series, because
This is the main air circulation fan. If you want to slip it this way, you should look for a maintenance hatch. Follow the air vents out of this room. But be prepared for dangerous machinery and maintenance bots.
96 health, huh? We need stronger stuff. God, I really want to use a lamb on them, but I want to save them for the ship. This is not working. I'm not entirely sure that light quite matches up with the fan blades. Ow! Ow! Oh God, this was a bad idea. All right, I didn't think they actually shot out like laser beams. Once more with screaming.
One of these units will have a panel you can open. Crawl through the ductwork into the building. This is the main air circulation fan. If you want to slip it this way, you should look for a maintenance hatch or follow the air vents out of this room. But be prepared for dangerous machinery and maintenance bots.
Alright, let's take a quick look and get a sober assessment of what my pistol's gonna pull off here. Because I sure as hell I'm not gonna use the rifle on them. %, huh? On 3 of them. I think this is time for a lamb. Guten Tag! And that completely failed. Where'd it go? Oh, that worked. I hate you so much. Thanks, game. Hello, T. Clark. How are you doing? Oh God, did I really not? Okay, I'll drop the lamb when I kill those spider things, and I gotta save again because I am clearly not equipped for these fights.
One of these units will have a panel you can open. Crawl through the ductwork into the building.
By the way, does the silence on the Elder Scrolls just mean that people aren't really too enthused about the idea?
If you want to slip in this way, you should look for a maintenance hatch or follow the air vents out of this room.
Let's try that again. That sucks. Just gauging interest as to whether or not people would like to see me do any of those games. I'm glad to hear that, Nubasaur. I don't know if I'm really giving that much insight on Deus Ex, unfortunately, but I like that you like my stuff. All right, now if I just keep hammering this thing with the pistol, it's going to come racing after me and murder me. And I said I was going to save. You'd like to see me do all of the games, like from Elder Scrolls 1? Oh my god. You think I'm you? Oh god. I lost my legs. I don't know what I thought I would get differently out of that, but here we are, facing the consequences of my decisions. Oops. For God's sake, I can't catch a break. I am going to save that, though. Cheese? What cheese? There are no Canadian dairy subsidies. Alright. Let's load things up a bit. Alright, so I'm basically one hit away from death on both my leg and my torso. So I need to promise you all that I will never die. And as I think the IT professional here will say, I did a very good thing by making sure that I waited until my battery was completely empty. Or not completely empty, because then it wouldn't charge again, but until my battery was low before charging. Though I think modern batteries don't worry as much about that. I don't know. Alright, so I went through all of that for no reason. Seems legit. Although it seems to imply that there may have been more than one way into this building, because I'm pretty sure down there will be the crazy robots. It's doing a fairly good job of supporting my weight. Oh, okay. This is an opportunity for me to, oops. They had the same idea I did. Oh, I don't want to take the damage for that. Alright, I'm going to try and take advantage of my position to pwn some noobs. What with my shaky hands. When you dump your binoculars in favor of carrying a heavy weapon, you have limited options for zooming. I think I just, yeah. That was a bad shot. I should have just waited for a better opportunity. Especially with my health where it is, because it's... I have a feeling it's going to be a lot of saving. I'm glad somebody remembers that, T. Clark, because I noticed the tendency is that... Well, okay, I'm going to use a really crude analogy, but it's a... there is some truth in the statement, which is, you know, you can build 1,000 bridges and never be called a bridge builder. I think everybody else knows how that... It's like it doesn't matter the 100 impossible shots that you took off. You miss one kind of semi-easy one, and that's all people are going to talk about. Did I get him? Yes. Only I'm going to be smart, and I'm also going to load up my cells. So one of the other catches here is I could try and like leap across, except that I'm going to take damage off of that, so... and I know there's a guy on the boat here still. So I think I'm just going to take my time. And... Wait, I think this is the terminal that I don't need. Yeah, but I do get the energy. I think I'm just going to head down the ladder and go the traditional way. Alright, let's see if I plummet to my death. I do not. Canadian long jump technique. It's too cold to do long jump. Crane control. Yeah, well, I don't have any points in. My and rifle. So like the game is just simply responding in a very sensible way to me. I was wondering if you could do, like, I wasn't thinking they'd put like a beam in there for no reason. But yeah, so the game is responding in a very sensible way to the skill decisions that I've made. But I was definitely trying to go for a less combat heavy role. Not a pacifist run though. This is one of the things I find so funny is that, you know, everybody makes a really big deal about this game being one where, you know, you could do a complete pacifist run And I think when I played the game, I felt, I felt sort of, I felt like I should respond as a police officer. Like I shouldn't deliberately, like, so when Navarra says to,
Who's there? Y'all need permission from the captain.
I'll go tell the captain.
I was caught in the door. But yeah, so like, I think at the beginning when Ana Navarra basically tells you to kill as many NSF as possible, like I wasn't prepared to do that. But when it's the, oh Jesus, I didn't save. When it's the faceless conspiracy. Metamancer, how are you doing? Hello, the 19 people from Metamancer's cast. How are you doing tonight? It has been far too long, my friend. Welcome to the worst playthrough of Deus Ex. I technically can't say it is my first playthrough, but it's the first I've seen this content. So, first of all, very special congratulations, because I see you have the much coveted verified sign, which means that you have achieved partnership, and that could be old news or new news. But either way, that is definitely deserving of a congratulations. So congratulations, Metamancer. I cannot think of a more deserving individual, and I am very, very glad to see that. Now, for those of you not familiar with Metamancer, 4 months news. Oh my God. For those of you not familiar with Metamancer, she is somebody who has worked in the games industry. I kind of know her best, I would say, through her creative casts. So a lot of art. Actually, it was a lot of, I don't know if these were commissioned projects or if they were just done for sort of streamer friends, but a lot of projects sort of that nature. And she is just a really wonderful caster, a really wonderful personality, and somebody who I think probably was affected more than most by the move to the Eastern time zone for me, because in terms of the times that she casts, I'm usually at work. But again, definitely somebody who I think this is one of the nice things for me is with the. Sorry, one sec. Hello, Fiery Flu. So one of the things that I can say is obviously now that, well, Fiery, certainly if you're coming from Meta's cast, I have some big shoes to fill. And I will admit, actually, I had a lot to say about Cyberpunk and such at the beginning of Deus Ex. But I notice now that I'm getting into parts of the game that I've never played before. Thank you very much for that follow. My commentary isn't what it quite was, so I have a little bit of an advantage here in the fact that I'm being slightly paranoid with my saves, I realize. But I have a little bit of luck in terms of being able to shout out Metamancer, because even though I haven't necessarily seen her cast in a while, I can definitely tell you something about her character, which is absolutely wonderful, and definitely somebody very deserving of the success that she's had on the platform. But one of the things I actually love the most about the artistic streams is that it's a skill that I wish I had. I used to love drawing when I was in elementary school, but I never really pursued it beyond that, and my talent has definitely dropped. I should probably say my talent, such as it is.
He has a mistress named Beth Duclair. Remember that name when you get to Paris.
Thanks, Daedalus. Can't possibly think of any other priorities I have right now. But yeah, so one of the things that I really like, and this is actually something that I think would be shared with Outstar Walker as well, is whenever there's an art stream, which I think Metamancer does so well, and I know the creative category is one that's had a lot of growth, so I think when somebody can sort of achieve success in I don't want to say competitive, because I mean one of the things that's so wonderful about artistic streamers is that they are usually very welcoming of others, and it's definitely a celebration of the hobbies and the passions that they have, rather than being any kind of an adversarial style relationship. But again, it's kind of, I think those have always been really special for me whenever I watch Metamancer, just because it's a skill that I wish I had. And she always does such a good job of sort of talking about what she's doing, and it's a nice little transition. She does, a little bit better than I've been able to do tonight in terms of talking about what's been going on in her life, and then she'll talk a little bit about the art, and then she'll talk a little bit about maybe some background ideas that went into it. It's good stuff. And yeah, actually, Fiery Flu's bringing me back down to earth. I'm of course putting Metamancer up on a pedestal, which I think is well deserved, because I think very highly of her cast. But it is worth mentioning even the other people who I've shouted out here: El Canu, Jesse Quill, Johnny Big Time. I would not be eager to get on their bad side. They are certainly very capable of defending their interests. But anyways, I hope there's no shortage of things to sort of tell you, watch this caster. And the fact that Metamancer has given me a very nice... the fact that Metamancer has given me a host with so many people means a lot. So clearly I have sort of a vested interest in making her feel special, or making the audience welcome. But this is one of the big things, is that there's a style of Twitch rhetoric, which I think, everything has to be the best ever. Everything, oh, you have to watch this person, they're the best caster ever, or they're the best friend ever, or any of these things. And clearly there is a strain to credibility on these things. And I know that I'm never going to be able to convince people of 100% of the things that I like on Twitch. But if I can at least give you guys some reasons in terms of watching the sorts of things that I do, I think that's really the best that a streamer can ever ask for, is an opportunity to entertain you. And so all of these people that I've mentioned before, El Canu, Jesse Quill, Johnny Big Time, Lady Dow, all wonderful people who I definitely think are deserving of your follow. Give them a shot, see if it's your kind of thing. And hopefully you guys will be able to share the great stuff that they do on a regular basis. Oh yeah, and because I'm a baby, I'm going to save one more time. Especially because some guy's asking if y'all have permission to be here.
You didn't want to come in here.
Yeah, knew it. Karate!
You didn't want to come in here.
I'll go tell the captain.
So yeah, I was talking about this a little bit earlier, actually. So there's a lot of people seem to go weak at the knees over the fact that this game can be can have pacifist runs, but I've never felt it particularly supported by the story. I mean, it's a story of sort of espionage. It's a story of sort of the violent overthrow of the government. It's, there's people trying to kill you. And so in the opening sections, I definitely want to act as a police officer, because that is how I would hope I would behave in those kinds of situations. Although even then the game justifies it, because of course clearly the peacekeeping operations have taken on a much harder edge. But I mean, once you've joined the NSF, once you've joined an organization which is dedicated to armed resistance of the conspiracy, there's not necessarily a reason to continue behaving as a pacifist. Yeah, well, and I think too, Fiery Flu, I think there's also different kinds of personalities. So I've always been a little hesitant to try and mention specific casters who I don't like, because there's just so many things. I mean, in my view, it's better to praise the things that you do like rather than focus too much on the negative, right? Because, I mean, I don't think people... So I think there are definitely people who may not put as much effort into a cast, and that's fine. That's just simply articulating what could be some very healthy priorities. Because I'll be honest with you guys, I have very often thought about the amount of time that casting takes away from other things that I do, and that does not mean that I am not grateful that I have a sort of a regular group of people. Okay, that's an objective. I'm going to do a little bit of exploration. That doesn't mean that I'm not grateful for the fact that there are clearly some very familiar names who come in, and I like that you like my stuff, and I will continue doing it. for as long as I can. Ah, crap. But Jess can tell you, I've talked a lot about what casting takes, and I mean, for those of you who maybe don't know me, I'm an economist by profession, and I enjoy doing that a lot, but it's something that also takes a lot of time. And I've noticed that a lot of my economic interests have sometimes taken back seat when I sort of focus on casting. So, I mean, the people who don't necessarily put effort into their cast, even then, it's not necessarily because they're bad or lazy people. Some people are. I mean, you can't dispute that. But in this case, they might actually just be expressing a very healthy preference of saying, is like, I don't want this thing to become like my central concern in life. But those people are also not owed views as well. And so in this case here, right, there's different personalities. There's there's different reasons why people cast and why they enjoy casting. And I think the big question here is more, can you solve that matching problem in an efficient way? Are you able to sort of, in fact, actually, this is maybe one thing that could bear repeating for people. If you have a favorite caster, one of the best things you can do to support them is just simply let other people know. If you have a friend, especially if there's somebody who doesn't really know Twitch, it's an opportunity for you to share something that you value with them. And I mean, some people are just be saying, like, I don't understand why you watch people play video games on the internet.
Just nerves, I guess.
But other times, you might find, you might be able to find, help your caster find somebody new, and you might be able to share something that your friend really likes. But yeah, with that in mind, right, like, clearly there are different personalities, there are different things that mesh, and again, the idea here, it's never, oh, you didn't like that caster that I shouted out. The best that I can do is try and make that match as efficient as possible, and hope that as many of you, like, in the end, I hope that...
Order 1090. Let's Sergeant, is that you?
Ridiculous. What I hope happens is a bunch of you guys hear what I said about Metamancer, or as I like to call her sometimes, Meatmancer, and you check her out and you say, yeah, this is something that I really enjoyed. I'm really glad that you recommended that. Because of course, if I do the flip side and I say, oh yeah, this caster's the best ever because they put me on auto host, and I love them so much, they're my best friend ever. I've never had a chance to meet Metamancer, who I think is probably lovely in person. My credibility is going to be strained, and as a result, when I recommend people who I really value to you, you're not gonna respect it. So, anyways, let me catch up because I think there was some interesting chats. So Meta's encouraging you to try. Yeah, here we go. Meta's encouraging you to try again, and you won 5 Quiplash games in a row last night. Maybe you should stop holding back. You're scared last time you were online. Metamancer's advice is really good on this one. Dual casting or having somebody in voice with you is really helpful, and that actually echoes some advice that a streamer I like, who is Paradox's stream manager, his name is Sekanur, advised. Whenever he has somebody on the Paradox stream, it's always in pairs. And this is a big thing. Like, people who know me in real life know that I never shut up. I'm just going to read this here. Dr. Liu, I'm afraid we've completely gone through all our motion sickness medication. If you could restock the lockers downstairs, that'd be great. I have a feeling that this is going to be a rough outing. By the way, Song has been running and changing all the codes lately, so if you need to raise the bridge in engineering, use 9753.
I would never want to belong to any club that would have someone like
Thank you very much for that follow, Raziel Tempest 82. You may have been the 82nd Raziel Tempest, but you are the most special Raziel Tempest to me. But yeah, I think, I mean, this is a function of my personality, and there are some people who have been very clear that that is not for them. That, whether it comes off, they say it, it comes off as arrogance or as, being a little too manic on the topics that I cover, or I mean, there's no shortage of things that people can say about it. But I mean, in the end, like I'm not really gaining anything if I try and force this person to watch my cast, right? Nubasaur, thank you so much for that. Thank you so much for the bits. But I think the big thing here, right, is you know, Polonius's advice to his son in Hamlet, to thine own self be true. People are going to want to know what's important to you. What are you passionate about? Why are you playing the game that you're playing? Everybody's got a big GOG library or Steam library, or you know, they have a bunch of games, and if they don't have a bunch of games are relatively inexpensive, and there's new ones coming out all the time. So you know, you don't you're spoiled for choice at this point. So, you know, being able to talk about and being able to share that with people, to me, is the big thing about casting. And again, as part of my, you know, part of my thing, I've never really had a problem talking about what I'm doing, and that just carries through from my real life personality as well as my my stream. But if you're uncomfortable, if you're somebody who maybe isn't as clear that you'd be able to sustain a cast that way, having somebody on is great. And again, especially if there's a game that you really like co-oping. So like the Jackbox games are a great example of this. There's a lot of different ways that you can sort of come up with a spin that works really well. Another good example, one thing I've really enjoyed with Jessie Quill has been her playing Chaos Reborn with her, especially because I really like what you usually get to hear. If you've never played Chaos Reborn, I think it's actually on sale on GOG, but there's an RNG component to it, and Jess will get very invested in a particular game. So I know that I know I've done a really good job of strategy whenever I get to hear in the background. That's the moment I look for on a Chaos Reborn stream. And Raziel Tempest, sorry I didn't say hi to you. I obviously thanked you for the follow, but sorry I didn't reply to your messages. I monologue a little bit and then I catch up on chat. But yeah, it's worth mentioning, Fiery. Like I was, oh, that's funny actually. I'm told the same thing about actually told the same thing about my Dark Souls casts. But yeah, like there's a few different hooks that you can do, but you don't even need to think of it in like purely mercenary terms. Like, how am I going to get the biggest number? Like you need to be able to enjoy yourself over those however many hours that you're casting. For me, I usually peak out at about 4 hours. So, you know, even if you're just like telling jokes while you're doing your cast, I mean, the only person you're really responsible to at the start is yourself. And then if you want to grow, if you want to hit, you know, a Metamancer level or an Elcanu level or a Jessie Quill level, at that point, then you start thinking a little bit about what does my audience want? What will appeal to more people? What will make me stand out? But I don't know. I don't really think a lot of people start streaming for those reasons. I think a lot of people start streaming because they want to share something that's special to them. And again, Metamancer does play games, but I think really I've always loved her art streams because I feel like I get to know her a little bit more. And when Jessie Quill does her perler beads, and when she talks about her community, when she talks about her job, or she talks about some of the themes of the games that she plays, I feel like I get to know her a bit more as a person. And like I've always said that Johnny Big Time, I've never met him, but I really want to. I feel compelled to buy him a beer when I meet him, because he is just one of these people who just exudes charisma and just seems so fun to be around. And again, Elcanu, again, one of the funniest casters I've seen, and I don't even speak the language that he, you know, that he casts in, and yet I felt completely welcome whenever I come into his cast. And again, every game that I've seen him play, I've always felt has got one of the fairest treatments that it has. So again, I think just people's personalities, people's interests get reflected through their casts, at least their original casts, and then eventually they find a voice, because I think Jess can also tell you I'm a little different from cast than I am in person. I'm a lot more grateful on cast. Yeah, well, Fiery Flu, it's the other thing too. It's like, I'm gonna have to only speak to my own circumstances here, right? But like, so like there's a certain point in your life where you hit, it's like, oh man, I really got to get a girlfriend. And then of course, adjust to your own circumstances and preferences to anybody in chat. And like, there's a few things that people will say. It's like, oh, just be yourself, or oh no, you got to dress better, or no, you got to start working out more, or oh, you got to, there's a whole bunch of different bits of advice. And the funny thing is like, getting more exercise is not the worst thing you could tell to someone, right? A lot of the things really just come down to, take care of yourself and be somebody, be confident, be a number of things. Now, I don't necessarily think that that's necessarily, like, I don't ever want to take the point of view where it's like, I am perfect the way I am, there is no room for improvement, and as a result, I am not going to change anything. But on the other hand, I wouldn't ever advocate that somebody utterly change their entire being simply to earn the affections of another. So I think casting is a similar way, right? Maybe, again, I speak to my own circumstances. How do I get that girl to like me or something like that? Obviously, that girl is always going to be a hard target because, of course, that girl might have some say in things, right? I could maybe say it's like, oh, it would be so wonderful if like Lethal Frag became a regular viewer in my channel. Now, I'm not sorry, guys. The game is there we go. I may never be able to convince him that I am worth his time. I mean, he's a family man. We have different casting styles. I don't know if he watches a lot of Twitch. There's a lot of different reasons why that may not happen as a specific. But the idea here, right? Like, what in the end, what is a lot of this advice? But just simply, it's like, put yourself in the best position. Take care of yourself. Have a maybe a certain degree of respect for yourself, and as a result, in terms of casting, right? Like, backseating is a big problem that I have, and in some cases, when I take a really aggressive stance on it, it usually results in a lot of laughs for the regulars in the channel, and it sends a really clear signal that that's never accepted here. But it's also one that I know potentially turns away some viewers, and so how I handle that. In fact, one person would note, like, when I did Alpha Centauri on the GOG channel, I completely ignored backseating, which is obviously very different from the way I would have handled it here, and have handled it in the past on that specific game.
This is the spot, JC. That is one of the tri-Haldwell points on the wall. You should be able to breach the inner hull with a Gep round or a lamb. When this one is opened, there are 4 more you need to breach. Check Doubt's map for their locations.
I guess that's bedtime, but I'm not going to bed. It sucks. But yeah, anyways, so I guess this is just a really... It's just a really drawn-out way of saying something relatively simple, which is that I definitely... I sort of understand the impulse which says, I just want to be me and I just want to share the game, and I think that's a very noble aspiration for more casters, and I definitely think there's a tendency for casters to think about viewers as just simply a number, and I would hope that I never reach that level myself. But on the flip side, I definitely know, like, one of the things I respect the most about Johnny and Jesse is that they put a lot of effort into thinking about how can they improve their presentation, how can they improve their cast. And I assure you, these are people with very good casts. These are people who could actually afford to sort of rest on their laurels and not put some effort in. And I think they would have a regular audience, and I think they would still have a successful cast in those circumstances. Oh, for God's sake. But yeah, again, I think I try to come up with the girlfriend analogy as best as I can. So. Need to teach the trick of getting a senpai to notice me? Yeah, well, I think that's an important thing too, Fiery Flu. And I think, like, one of the challenges, like, this is a position that I wouldn't end. So I'm probably going to come off as extremely ignorant about these issues. So I apologize in advance. But, like, it strikes me that that's one of the first things that, you know, it almost seems like somebody who undergoes a transition like that immediately has to become an ambassador, whether they want to or not. And I mean, I think one of the nice things about Twitch is they now have implemented rules where you have to see the rules before you can participate in chat. But I mean, there's more to yourself than that, and I think in the end, you know, you shouldn't be made to talk about things that you don't want. And I mean, that might even be a growth target. I don't, again, this is where I say that I'm really ignorant on issues like this, so I may just be spouting very bad advice, but that might be an ambition, which is to say, it's like, you know, I want to grow a community that I feel comfortable and safe with to a level that I can maybe do an Ask Me Anything stream. And that can be sort of an opportunity for you to talk about your own experience and your, you know, maybe address, you know, people who are genuinely curious and maybe want to understand, you know, something they really haven't had to encounter before better, but to do so in a respectful way. I give this as an example rather than, you know, an instruction, because, like I said, you know, if somebody says to me, what's it like to be an economist, it's very easy, right? But that's a poor analogy, so I can't really draw from that.
Nothing here now. Get cover.
Yeah, we were talking about pacifist runs of this game before. But yeah, so like I think I was saying a little, just completely TMI day. I don't know, like, I think in the end, like, so there's always going to be people who, I mean, it's one of the ways that I act in Johnny Big Time's channel. Like, whenever something horrible happens in a game, you know, I just start screaming and freaking out. But I kind of think that most people don't really behave that way. I think, like, you know, the worst that somebody could be accused of is curiosity, and the challenge there is that curiosity might be mixed with an unintentional insensitivity. And I mean, again, like, the biggest thing that I can say, like, there's not a lot of elaboration that is required for me to say how much I hate backseating. But it's something that happens, and, like, in the end, part of it is just simply don't let the bastards grind you down. Like, you know, there's no shortage of people. I mean, one day it might be fun to just, like, read my hate mail. But like, there's no shortage of people telling me I'm a bad caster, or I'm a bad person, or I'm never gonna make it, or anything along these lines. And these are all very minor things because, I mean, it's an angry guy on the internet, right? Like, oh gee, whatever will I do without your approval? So, I mean, again, like, sometimes it's a matter of considering the source. And again, as I sort of said with casters, I can tell you there's no shortage of casters I don't like, but I haven't mentioned them by name. Maybe because I just don't want you to go and find out they're actually good casters. But no, it's better to celebrate the good than spend the time talking about the bad. At least in public. In private, I think Johnny Big Time and Jesse Quill can know that I don't shut up about casts that I don't like. Yeah, well, I always like to say, Fiery Flu, like, I think back to when, I think back to when The Order came out and how everybody just lost their mind about, you know, oh my god, it's too short, oh, this is terrible, oh, this game sucks, oh. So it's like, okay, well, clearly you don't want to just, like, blast through a game. And, you know, you can go, you know, and, like, to me, like, I've always enjoyed, like, I enjoy strategy games and I enjoy puzzle games, and even when there's something that is maybe blindingly obvious to other casters, or to other, like, viewers or something like that, like, I've always heard from others that they like watching me.
Have to go around. I won't get the transfer.
Please shut up so I don't get. Yeah, this is a bit of a drawback to the game that the enemies still attack when you.
His mistress, Beth Duclair, but she is dead. The last living associate of the Illuminati leadership is the daughter, Nicolette Duclair. Ask Dowd about Nicolette. We need someone to take us to Everett.
He's still in the air.
Alright, sorry about that. And hello, Blacktails. Yeah, like, the biggest thing for me is, like, I've never had a moment where somebody says, like,
electricity come off that thing like lightning.
oh boy, I was so mad that you worked through that puzzle and explained your thought process while you were doing that. This is possibly the worst cast you've ever done. It's always been, oh, that was really fun to watch you solve that puzzle. So I try and use that as the guiding light. Oops. And yeah, I have Thief as well. I got all the Thieves, actually. Oh, I don't want any part of this.
I can't be responsible if you get hurt.
I'm really making a mess of this. But yeah, I don't know. Where was I going? Sorry, just catching up with a little bit of... An orange caster?
bogey, no ID.
You didn't ask me for my ID. Glad you came to watch. Need to go to bed, but everyone have a great night. Raziel Tempest, thank you very much for stopping by. I know it's always a dodgy prospect whenever I'm hosted by somebody who's better than me. But I appreciate you stopping by and giving me a shot. Again, like I said, that's one of the really the only thing that a caster can ever ask of somebody is a chance to entertain. So I'm glad you enjoyed yourself, and I appreciate your Christ almighty. I am bad at this game. I also turned it on the hardest difficulty unintentionally, so that is a bit of a factor. But yeah, thank you very much for hanging out and being such good company. And not a problem at all, Fiery Flu. I mean, I don't talk about this enough, I don't think, but when I started on Twitch, what I did was it was an Extra Life cast. And there were two really big things that happened during that. One was a classmate from middle school sort of out of nowhere put a notice on Reddit sort of saying, like, hey, this is a friend of mine from school. I remember him talking about video games so much. You know, I haven't talked to him in years. Like, I've moved to 2 different cities since I ever talked with him. He doesn't have anybody watching him right now, and he's doing a thing for a children's hospital. You know, please come along and help him out. And like all of a sudden, I couldn't explain why, because it was like one of the first like real casts that I had done. And all of a sudden, people are showing up, and I'm like, oh my god, is this how casting works? I don't know. Oh, you know what? There's nano tools lying all over this level. I might as well just bypass it. But you know, out of that, there's this really, this really nice moment where a bunch of people just kind of start showing up to my cast, which was cool. And then I sort of find out, like, somebody eventually spills the beans. It's like, yeah, there's a Reddit post about you right now. And we all, we're all coming because of that. And some of them donated, which was really nice, because I mean the purpose of that, I didn't have a donation button up for myself. That was purely, the donation button actually only came a long time afterwards, after people were really, really aggressive in saying please put one up, because like I didn't want it to be like, oh hey, this is the, oh crap, kill him. That was a bit clowny. Yeah, no problem, Whisper. But yeah, so in this case here, an old friend who had not talked to me in years, put a Reddit post up on me, and all of a sudden I had people watching me. And I heard some of the few things. I was really uncomfortable with the sound of my voice. But obviously when people are talking, it's like, oh yeah, I just keep talking, please, I don't care what you say, just keep talking. That makes you feel good, right? And then on top of that, in addition to sort of the Reddit post, there was the experience of doing the Extra Life cast on its own. And that was great too, just because they
breathe, for lack of a better word, is good.
Donate button.
Johnny Big Time, you are a hell of a guy. Thank you very much for that. I feel like at this point we're kind of just exchanging donations to our respective casts. Yeah, saw that coming. I kind of want to just throw a gas grenade up there, but especially because I don't think they're going to, I don't think they're actually going to climb down the ladder. But yeah, so that was. I mean, I could not have asked for a better. I could not have asked for a better introduction to Twitch, and I think the very least that somebody can do. I mean, I would never once try to pretend that I am any bigger than I am on Twitch, but I have gotten to a point where Fiery Flu, thank you very much for that. Guys, the donations are really very much appreciated, but absolutely unnecessary. I really do appreciate that, guys. But yeah, I mean, the important thing is that, I mean, it was weird for a while to have people ask, you know, how do I get to your level, right? Because to me, like, I consider myself what I am, a small caster. And I think as often as anybody else, you know, how could I get bigger? How can I, you know, well, doesn't every guy think that? But you know, I definitely think in the terms that that most other people do. It's like, you know, what can I do to make my cast more popular, basically. But then it's also a nice little reality check when, you know, somebody sees 1,000 follows and it's like, oh god, I could never get there. It's like I'll ask this guy for some help to find out what's going on. So again, it's a nice little perspective thing, and at least insofar as I, you know, have been sought for advice, maybe even in that one corner case, I think it would be respectful to the people who had helped me on that Extra Life cast, and to everybody who's watched the cast and given me that kind of support. I think the very least that I can do in that case is to extend the same kindness and to as best as I can to give honest and serious advice. Although again, I mean, the nice thing about Twitch is that there's no rule. Well, I mean, there's the rules of conduct, but other than that, there's no established rule for success, right? Everybody's still trying to figure this out as they go, and you know, there's nothing, like, nobody knows what the next big thing is going to be, and that makes it really exciting. It means that you can experiment, and if the experimentation doesn't work out, then you just try something new. And if it does work out, well, all of a sudden, you know, you've caught lightning, and you're like, basically you get to roll the dice every single time you cast. You get to try something new if you want, and if it doesn't work, nobody's going to hold it against you. And if it does work, you can keep working on it. You can keep iterating on that idea, and over time, that works to your advantage. As long as you're willing to put the time and the effort into it, it's hard to see how that system doesn't pay off. Well, one of the things that's challenging about that Fiery Flu is just it's harder to keep the personal touch. I can't remember the last time I saved, so I'm gonna make the game lag a little bit and bring it up. It's two different things. I think the bigger challenge that a lot of people need to deal with is actually keeping a cast active when there's nobody watching. When I had to evaluate applications for a stream team, one of the big ones for me was to see how well a caster could cast to an empty room, because that would tell me a lot about, you know, how the person sort of looked at their cast, how they sort of considered things, how they... Ah, damn it.
That's him.
That told me a lot about, you know, how conscious they are and sort of how mature they are as a caster. But I mean, it's usually when I'm playing something that hasn't been released yet, or when I'm broadcasting on a channel like GOG. Those are really the only times that I have like super big audiences. And for those casts, I acknowledge the fact I'm not going to be able to respond to everybody, and that people are probably not going to be watching because I have given each person the personal touch. And I just adjust, I sort of just adjust the style to sort of match the tone. So. Johnny, I'll be honest with you. I regret not turning down your application the second time. You know, this is actually bordering on my not talking about things I dislike, but do you think all the effort was worth it? Are you happy that you got that exception second time?
Falling back.
You don't have to answer that, by the way.
These are the bilge pumps. You need to turn them on, then reverse the flow. There should be a switch nearby to turn on the pumps, and the computer should allow you to reverse the flow.
What flavor yogurt? Fiery Flu? I'm sorry to keep saving the guys, but this game's a bit merciless sometimes. Daddy. Hi, Daddy. Wanted to see how you're doing. I am practicing my English. Can you tell? My teacher says that I am almost the best in my class. When will you be back? Mommy told me she loves you, and I love you too. Today, some nice men came over to the school to see me. They said they were your friends, and if there was ever a problem, they should come get me so that I could see you. I told Mommy she didn't seem to like that, and she didn't seem to like that, but I thought they were very nice. Mommy says you'll be back soon, and I can't wait to go to the museum again. I love you, Daddy. Hug and kiss. Lynn. And I can't get through all of that, so yeah.
The bilge valves are open. Now just breach the last of the weld points.
It's either this guy or this guy. That kid's an orphan. I should feel bad about it, but I don't. Sounds tasty.
Do not forget about Everett. I have located
How could I, Daedalus?
but she is dead. The last living associate of the Illuminati leadership is the daughter, Nicolette Duclair. Ask down about Nicolette. We need someone to take us to her.
This is gonna be tough. He's noticed me. Damn it. All right, so I only have two more welds to break. Sorry guys, I just have a quick quick thing to check. Fascinating. Person who just sent me something. I wanted to say thank you for that, especially because I know the last thing that you gifted didn't work as well on the cast. And I know that can usually be a really big point of contention for people. So I am really intrigued by this, and it looks quite good. So thank you very much for that, and I'll play it in private first, but I will be sure to bump that up on the queue. So thank you very much for that. Or actually, let me know if I can say you by name and cast, and I'll very happily sing your praises in person. Or you don't have to sing your praises, but at the very least, I'll acknowledge you. All right, I don't have an easy answer for the Tunnel of Death. I sure can. Okay, excellent. So guys, Elkanu gifted Death in Bermuda to the cast. So I always like to, again, if people do so semi-anonymously, I always like to get a little bit of permission before I sort of call them out for their misdeeds. But I was going to say, one of the biggest ones for me is when people donate games to the cast. I always like acknowledging that, because that's one of the... There's a few things going on there. So one, somebody's sort of given up something of their own to help out the cast. And I should acknowledge that. But on top of that, that's also some content that you guys get to see, which is, I think, good for you, hopefully. But I also particularly wanted to... Damn it! I particularly wanted to shout out El Canu for this, because I know the last game that he gifted, I made an effort and I just couldn't quite find the match between my interests and the game. So he's one of the people who would very legitimately say, it's like, look, I want to support you with games, but you don't necessarily like the stuff that I've given you. And that would be totally fine, right? Because that is actually that is what happened. So the fact that El Canu did so, again, that it was independent, he sort of got the reasons why Jesus Christ, I'm almost certain that light is there to prevent me from doing that. Yeah, I just wanted to shout him out for that, because I know the usual response that people have to... Actually, I'm just going to scum save. The reaction that people usually have to something like that is anger. Thank you very much, El Canu, and I hope you guys... I'd love it if you guys could extend a thank you to him as well, because I like to think that you guys will be the beneficiary of that gift. And hello, 1-4.
Do not forget about Everett. I have located his mistress, Beth Duclair, but she is dead. The last living associate with your leadership is the daughter, Nicolette Duclair. Ask Dowd about Nicolette. We need someone to take us to Everett.
Yeah, well, the other thing too, El Canu, I think I might... what I might also do with this is I might try it on my own and see if I can find the hook. But I think one of the challenges that I ran into with the game, I think I might have said this before, but I liked how once you started letting your fear kind of stack on top of it, how the game really did seem to sort of set you up for a series of subsequent scares. So basically the game would sort of devolve really quickly, and you'd wind up in a lot of trouble. But I think one of the challenges I run into is, like, even if I were to cut off the analytics side, like, I don't scare very easily in games like that. And so I think the most powerful mechanic of that game was wasted on me a little bit, just because if I were to get the jump, it would usually just be on the individual moment. And then it wouldn't quite stack like I think it's supposed to. But it's a really interesting idea for a game. Actually, it's maybe worth shouting out here. The game was called Pineview Drive, and it had this really interesting mechanic where basically it seemed like when you did certain things in the game that indicated that you were getting scared, the game would start throwing more scares at you, and that would be how you sort of like lose health, and I'm assuming you ultimately lose the level. Now, it didn't necessarily work for me because I felt like a little too much of the gameplay was searching through the house for objectives that weren't very clearly defined. But I say this because I say this knowing that my own experience of it was also affected by the fact that I don't scare very frequently in games like that, and as a result, the sort of the tension and the fun that would build out of it. I can't move in the game for some reason. There we go. A lot of the tension in the game would actually not be... Something's happening to the game. A lot of the tension in the game would sometimes be lost on me a little bit, just by virtue of the fact that again, I sort of failed to react at the right things. Okay, sure thing, Elkanu. I'm going to give it one more shot privately, because I think there's a difference between playing a game on cast. This is the other thing, too, actually. I think one of the things about playing a game on cast is that it's like being in a room full of people, and I think most people's experience of Pineview Drive is actually playing the game in isolation. So that might have been another thing that affected it for me, which was, like, if I know what's up, right? Like if I'm looking at chat every once in a while, which is something outside of the game, and I know there are other people, you know, I think that's something that I probably lost out on, again, just purely by virtue of the fact that I was casting. All right, so my answer here is to either put a lot of bullets into this this little spider thing, or I don't want to blow a lamb on it. So yeah, you know what? Ow! Oh god, this was a terrible idea. Look at the range on that thing. Alright. Well, I thought I could cheese it, but... I think this thing's gonna kill me. Well, I don't know. See, Elkanu, I really liked Amnesia because of the atmosphere that it created. But I don't know. I didn't quite get the same sense from Pineview Drive. But it's like one big thing for me is it's the fact that you recommended it that that was pretty important to me. So I'm not ready to give up on it yet.
Do not forget about Everett. I have located his mistress, Beth Duclair, but she is dead.
I just wanted to aggro him so he comes around the corner. I probably should have done the stun in that case, but... Sorry guys, I'm a little sleepy. I should mention I actually am going to need to wrap up in a little bit. I know I had a later start, and this is going to be one of my shorter casts, but I get an opportunity to go to a conference sort of presented by Statacorp. They make a statistical software which gets used in economics a lot. And it's hosted at the kind of Canada's equivalent of the Federal Reserve, so I haven't had a chance to actually see that building yet, and they've just recently renovated it. So in addition to the fact that I'm getting an edumacation, I get to see a kind of a it's not even a tourist attraction. It's just it's a government building that I've long wanted to see and experience. So, but I do have to be up early for it. So, all right, this clearly is a losing strategy. So with that in mind, like I might have to go to. I have to call it early tonight just so I can be somewhat lucid in the morning. And for what it's worth, I do not expect any job offers after it. It would be really cool to work for a place like that, but I made a commitment in terms of my current position. And I'm not sure I actually know all the things I would need to know to work in that institution. They do something a little different from what I do, and I'm sure I could learn it, but I don't think they want people who learn on the job. I think they're looking for people who already know how to do some of that stuff. So for those of you who are wondering why I'm struggling so much on this game, one, it's because I'm bad. But two, I thought realistic damage in this game was just like a style of play, right? Which is that we're no longer gonna assume that like everybody has 1,000,000 hit points. What it turns out is that the enemies have the same hit points, but your damage is amplified by quite a bit. So what I did quite unintentionally was put myself up on the hardest difficulty level for a game I'm unfamiliar with. So. Yeah, well, I mean, in my case, I do have an MA in economics, so in terms of what I learned, like I was equipped to do empirical work. My university was actually quite good at that. But I'm sure you don't need me to tell you that economics is a big subject, and you know, somebody can be really good at labor and not know anything about, oh god, like, you know, but they may not know a whole lot about monetary policy or something like that. So it's more of a question of the specific things I focused on were not necessarily the sorts of things that research team would want. Oh, I had to TA my school's equivalent of Econ 101. I mean, I got nice reviews about it. I think I did the best I could, but I mean, this is what interested me in Econ, right? Was that it was a very systematic and a very interesting way of looking at the world. Oh god, there's another one? And it led to some really interesting sort of insights or ideas, but you needed to sort of work to do the like those results didn't come easily or readily. There was so what the hell did I just disable with that box? Huh. Yeah, I have a feeling I'm going to be at this for a while, just because I didn't look at the map at the start, so I'm going all over the place. That's Econ 101 with 100 on the first try. I chose the wrong major apparently and should have been an Econ major. I think it's much better to major in the topic that you're interested in. The one thing that I do think is a little bit of a shame about Econ, like at the 100 level, is they don't have a good mechanism through which students who are interested in going to the higher level can get an idea of what goes on. So like, for instance, when we taught introductory micro, there was no calculus prerequisite. And even at the intermediate level, we would, you kind of had to do calculus because, I mean, it's optimization, right? Like you can't just ignore, a mathematical topic which is important, not very difficult to learn in, all things being equal. Apologies if you're not somebody who found calculus a breeze. I'm not going to say I found it a breeze, but like there have been harder topics for me to learn, let's say. I'm really reluctant to save here, but I'm going to go anyways. But like obviously, like going from like fourth year in like an honors program to graduate is tough. There's usually a lot that damn it. I'd love to stun them, but... Like, I'm probably dead, but...
He's still in the area. Aim for the head.
Yeah. All right, guys. I'm sorry to end it on such a note, but I've sort of lost my sense, and I think I just need to clear my head. So it's interesting. I think I spent a little bit too much time on this mission, but I think that's also just because I wasn't thinking straight. To all of Metamancer's people, I know I did a shorter cast tonight, and to everybody who's a regular here, I'm sorry for the shorter cast. I know this comes after I didn't do a Monday cast. So for those of you who are new, I'll do a brief rundown of how I normally do things. I normally cast on a Monday, Wednesday, and Friday. Mondays are dedicated to Paradox's grand strategy games, which are, if you've never played them, they're best known as, the best known titles are Crusader Kings 2, Europa Universalis 4, Victoria 2, Hearts of Iron 4, and now Stellaris. Now, I'm a really big fan of these games. On Monday, I dedicate it to one of those games. We've recently been doing Crusader Kings 2, but we're going to be switching to Stellaris because that recently came out in Humble Bundle. So if you just recently got Stellaris, or if you generally like these bigger strategy-style games that are hard to learn, I encourage you to check those out. In terms of Wednesdays and Fridays, those are a little bit more freeform, so we've been doing quite a bit of Deus Ex recently, but there is a GOG summer sale going on right now, and I think it'd be a great opportunity to show you some of the games which I really like in there, which I've picked up while I'm going through. Obviously, if you guys have recommendations, let me know, and I'll check those out as well. But that's the basics. I do also sometimes try to cast on the weekend, but I don't make any promises for those because I do need to have a bit of a life for myself. Before I go, I want to take a second here and thank the auto hosts and the proper hosts. So we've got Nubasaur42, Lady Dow, The Rambler 146, Jesse Quill, Cringy Cat, Chaotic Tabris, Flow Fantasy, Kaylee Cakes, Ulster Fighter, El Canoe, Dynamike, Docs Gaming, just switched on me again, Optimistic Gamer, Johnny Big Time, I think I said Cringy Cat already, D Raven, and of course Metamancer. It was a lot of fun to cast for you guys. I was not expecting the kinds of audiences that I had tonight, but again, if you like longer casts and if you like variety with maybe a little bit of a bias towards classic games for the next little while, feel free to stop by. If you want to be alerted to the stream, you can follow the stream. If you want to know what game I'm playing, I usually will announce that on Twitter. And at the... Actually, that's funny one for. There was somebody else I know who had some trouble with their credit card to buy it. Ended up dropping out from full sale anyway. They wanted you to learn. Fair enough. All right, let me just take a quick second here and see who I can host. There's a few people who I can host, actually. Just give me a second here. Yeah, I just want to find somebody to host if I can. Sorry guys, I'm just trying to confirm something about who I'm about to host. I will encourage you guys to come along for the raid. It's one of the people that Jesse, who I'm trying to, one of the people who Jesse Quill helps out with All right, we are going to be hosting MD. So MD is currently playing Sonic the Hedgehog 3. He's actually a big fan of the Sonic. Sorry guys, people in the chat are being a pain. But yeah, MD he's currently doing Sonic 3. He just says it's a rebroadcast in his chat, so I wanted to make sure that he's live. He's a really fun guy. He's from Toronto, so fellow Canadian, and I will send you off to him. So as Fiery Flue says, I actually need to go fast and actually shut up and get some sleep tonight. So sorry for the abrupt end, guys. Please enjoy MD, and as we always say, we're tired of System Talk, heard this place was better. So please drop that in the chat and show him the same kind of love that you've shown me. Thanks a lot, guys. See you next time.